threatens action against unauthorized shippers who attempt to mail Florida-style inside-out pizzas directly to residential homes. This legal friction traces back to a single-family empire. Decades ago, the Tarantinis trademarked their specific version of a fried dough pocket to protect the name from competitors and unauthorized distributors. To see what they were protecting, we have to look at the anatomy of the original Italian pocket. The traditional pugliese panzerotto is a half-moon turnover, historically stuffed with regional ingredients like onions, capers, and anchovies. But the Americanized version is different. The family replaced those sharp flavors and traditional ricotta with mozzarella and tomato sauce, registering this iteration as the Panzarotti. Altering traditional ingredients to match standard pizza flavors was a deliberate move. By aligning the flavor profile with the existing American palate, the family manufactured a product ready for mass consumption. In 1960, industrial Camden, New Jersey was a landscape defined by manufacturing and economic pressure. For a large immigrant family, finding a reliable foothold in this environment was a constant struggle. Pauline Tarantini, an immigrant mother of 10 who spoke very little English, found her family facing a financial crisis. She needed to generate an immediate income stream from her home. Pauline knew how to make panzerotti from her childhood in Italy, but she observed that her American customers were often put off by the texture of traditional ricotta. To ensure the tarts would sell, she pivoted to a mozzarella and sauce filling. Production began in her small kitchen, using the tools she had on hand. She formed the dough by hand, using an old metal coffee can to stamp out consistent circles before folding and frying them. Her husband, Leopoldo, took these handmade pockets to local businesses. He avoided traditional grocery stores, instead selling the hot tarts at neighborhood gas stations for 25 cents each. Selling in these non-traditional spaces allowed the family to reach working-class customers directly. This localized demand grew quickly, proving that Pauline's flavor pivot was exactly what the market wanted. By 1963, the Tarantinis had opened their first storefront, but they reached an operational limit. Hand-stamping dough with a coffee can was simply unable to keep pace with the sheer volume of orders coming in. The next generation, sons Franco and Vincent, took on the task of scaling the business. They needed to move from a home kitchen process to a system supporting large-scale regional distribution. Their solution involved re-engineering an industrial turnover machine. This allowed them to automate the folding and sealing process that Pauline had previously done by hand. This visualization shows the result of that mechanization. Production capacity jumped from manual output to 5,000 units every single day. This increase in scale allowed the family to secure a national trademark. By locking down the Panzarotti name, they ensured that their specific iteration of the dish remained a protected brand as they expanded. The introduction of industrial mechanization is the point where a family recipe is codified into a commercial asset. To distribute their new volume, the brothers used a fleet of customized food vans. They didn't wait for customers. They took the product to where the crowds were already gathered. They specifically targeted local high schools during lunch hours, providing a hot, affordable meal to a generation of students in South Jersey. This strategy funded the opening of standalone restaurants and taught a young demographic to recognize the product's signature tiny bubbles on the crust as a mark of authenticity. Focusing on high schools embedded the product into the local culture. This created a consistent customer base that has sustained the family business for 65 years. In the 2000s, the third and fourth generations moved operations to a facility in Cherry Hill. Their goal was to move beyond local sales and fulfill requests from across the country. This map shows the current limits of that expansion. High costs in the frozen food supply chain mean the company no longer ships to stores in the West or Midwest, focusing instead on the I-95 corridor. Maintaining a product like this requires strict temperature control. The family relies on a dedicated truck fleet and national distributors to move their frozen product from the warehouse to the restaurant fryer. When unauthorized shippers attempt to mail these pockets directly to homes, they bypass these professional cold chain safeguards. This creates the health risks that the company warns against on its website. The barrier to national expansion for a regional dish is often defined by the logistics of the supply chain rather than the popularity of the food itself. Despite these constraints, the Panzarotti has become a template for a new wave of culinary spin-offs. In Philadelphia, modern chefs are treating the dough pocket as a blank canvas for high-end ingredients. Modern variations now include fillings like roast pork or Puerto Rican flavors. adapting the original concept to fit the diverse tastes of the city. This represents the transition into an exo-cuisine. As this definition shows, it is a system of commercial cookery that moves beyond a closed set of traditional ingredients to embrace a wider, evolving market. Over 65 years, the Tarantini family business grew from a mother's frying pan into a multi-state commercial operation. The history of the Panzarotti demonstrates how immigrant families intentionally engineer their own culinary traditions to ensure economic survival in a new country.